This podcast is a member of WGPRN, WildGamesProductions.com. They came from the game table, dice bags in hand.
We have one brain that we share between us.
To talk about role-playing for all across the land.
And you'll like it.
The original, then basic, then one they scoured.
Kinda grabs you by the boo-boo, don't it?
To bring AD&D to the second power.
You want me to put the hammer down?
Welcome to THACO's Hammer, the best scam AD&D second edition podcast ever.
Hey folks, THACO's Hammer, episode, splat book, whatever you want to call it, number 69.
69.
Yes, indeed. And DM Glen is not here this time, so I'm taking his reins. I am DM Brian, and over there is DM Full On Gamer.
Greetings, Gamer Nation. Welcome to the episode that's all about reciprocation. How the Gamer Nation gives back. We're going to talk about emails and catch up on all of your web goodness.
Mm-hmm. You give to us, and we give back. And over there, with the man who gave us a really good idea, is DM Corey.
What's going on, everybody? It's time for us to stop talking about D&D and start talking about you. Well, at least what you talk to us about.
Yeah, exactly. Our email bag is full, so let's get on to hits and crits.
What are you doing tonight? I don't know. What are you doing tonight? The burlesque, Louie's Paradise, miserable and lonely and stupid. What am I, crazy or something? I got something good here. What am I hanging around with you guys for?
Hits and crits.
Hits and crits. Okay, what did we do for gaming this week? Corey?
Absolutely, positively nothing.
What?
I literally had a domino effect of people going, hey, I'm having some problems with my wife. She's kind of complaining, so I'm not going to be able to make it this week. Okay, no problem. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Next text message comes in, hey, I'm really low on gas, and I took off work a couple days last week because of the holiday, so I can't make it this week. I'll see you in 2 weeks. Okay, no problem. Then the next one, hey, I got to get up at 5 a.m. tomorrow, so I'd have to leave the D&D game by 7, so I'm just not going to make it. I'll see you in 2 weeks. I'm like, really? 7 people? All of you just – I said, you know what? Screw this. No D&D this week. So,
wow.
Yeah. So instead, I worked on the campaign and made stuff a little harder. That's
You need gamers that live next to you that live like I do. Getting up at 5 a.m. means going to bed at midnight or 2, which means we could still be gaming till midnight or 2.
Yeah.
I used to be able to do that. I just
7.
can't anymore. My stamina.
Weak sauce.
Yeah, it kind of is. I was thinking because, holiday weekends, unless you have kids, I mean, being married's one thing, but if you're married with kids, I kind of get it. But you would think that a holiday weekend, you could find a few hours to kind of just get away for a few minutes. I mean, especially, after, everything goes boom. You know what I'm saying, Full On?
Maybe it's because I'm not married, but I just can't contemplate the way relationships work with people. Because I've never been in a relationship where my input didn't become a factor. Now, everybody makes the joke of, oh, you're getting married, she's in charge, blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, you can't say to your wife, hey, listen, you have me for 26 days out of the year, or out of the month. I just asked for 2 Sundays. That's all I ask. Can you please not set up a schedule to go visit your mom on that Sunday? We can do whatever you want. I don't care if we go antiquing. I need off this Sunday to hang with the boys. I've always been in relationships where my girlfriends are like, yeah, go. And I'm like, you're cool. Saturday's all yours. Monday through Friday's all yours. I just asked for every other Saturday off. Okay, that's fine. Have it. I'll go out with the girl.
You need to shark for the better girlfriends, the gamer girlfriends. I don't even care if they don't game what you game, because that is its own kettle of fish when you have the gaming couples. But if you have gamers, she's gaming her thing on her days, you game your thing on your days, and then when you have a synced up schedule, you can do something else together or game together. It's cool.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter.
Shared interests are what
hey, you have friends
foundations of solid relationships are.
Yeah,
you have friends out
it's a great
go
foundation.
shopping. Go to the movies with your friends. Go out dancing. I want to go hang with
you need I've always been of the opinion you need a day off, even if you love that woman with all your heart and all your soul. You still need time for you. I'm not saying that you sacrifice the relationship to satisfy that need to have me time, so to speak.
Right.
But yeah, I would. Yeah. My whole thing is,
I'm confused with my friends who go, "Hey, I'm gonna ask my wife if I can come over." Yeah, she said no, so I'm not coming over. I'm like, wait, what? What do you got to do? Well, she wants me to sit in the backyard with her. What'd you do yesterday? Well, we went shopping. Okay, what'd you do last Sunday? Well, we went antiquing. Wait, your wife can't let go of you for like 6 hours? Really?
Well, Corey, there are just some dudes that kind of figure that once they get married, it's over. That it's no more fun time for me. I gotta handle my wife. I gotta handle my kids. I gotta handle my work. I mean, I was over a couple of friends over the weekend, and we were talking about that kind of thing. It's like, the husband works, like a freaking dog, but, every other weekend it's like, hey, we gotta cut loose. We gotta have some fun. But anyway, I mean, when I was with Allie, as you guys know, if you listen to the Hammers of the Dutch AP podcast, episode 7 coming soon, I promise. DM Allie, she's an ex of mine. We were together for a long time. And she, the thing is, I considered myself lucky because her and I met over the gaming table. I mean, I've told the story 1,000 times about our characters and whatnot. But, it's one of those things, if you can't, it's either find someone who is at least willing to share your interests or at least explore them and just not dismiss them out of hand, or, find someone who's willing to, who is secure enough in herself and the relationship to, say, hey, go have fun with your friends, when you just have some time to yourself. You need it. Go. Yeah. But unfortunately, guys aren't like that. Yeah. No. we could make a show just out of that.
Yeah. What about you, Full On? What'd you do this week?
Well, I got to partake in the second this month Double XP weekend on the Old Republic, and prior to that, I made the motorcycle run down to the Reaper store in Denton, Texas, to pick up my Kickstarter package of vampire support stuff and all that wonderful web goodness.
Cool.
So I have another couple hundred fine quality Reaper miniatures that I will never get around to finishing painting.
Yeah, I know. I've got several staring at me from the top of my desk right now. Hey, when you gonna paint us? Hey. But let's see. I didn't do too much. The only thing I've been really doing D&D wise is I've still been playing Chronicles of Mystara, which I highly recommend. If you've got an Xbox, if you've got a PlayStation 3, buy it and play it. It's one of the best games. The only game that is even close to this game as far as the D&D experience is probably the original Gauntlet, but, this one is just a whole lot better. I also... Huh? What's that?
Computer games are not role-playing games until you're in a holodeck. That's just my stake. None of them. 0 of them. MMOs, things that... all the gold box stuff... Even my, I got Undermountain, I've got Undermountain 2, all those things, they're neat, they're cute, they're wonderful, but they are limited by programmers, garbage in, garbage out.
You wounded me, sir.
Hey, sorry.
It's okay. The other thing is that I got an email, a few days ago. There's a website called nearbygamers.com. I think that's what it's called. And what it is that it's a little website where you just put in your location, you put in the games that you like to play, and it tries to sync you up with other people who have similar interests. I got an email from somebody a couple days ago who is trying to get a gaming group together, and we've been talking back and forth about what kind of games we want to run or play in and that kind of stuff. So we'll see what happens from there, but hopefully within the the very near future, I might actually be doing some face-to-face gaming. Maybe. If I can find the time. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's get right to the emails. Okay, who's going first?
Who's on first? I don't know. Who's on second? Third base.
You want me to go first?
Yeah, all right. Let's do. Yeah, Corey, you do one. Full on, you do one, and I'll do the voicemails. How's that?
That's fine with me. We'll go
All
with
right.
that.
Okay, Corey. So
I'll start with the big one that's the beast. I'm going to chew through it and chew it up here.
Okay.
We'll do Mark McElroy's.
Okay.
This email came from Mark McElroy. I'm going to read a portion of this email because, folks out there, I'm looking at 5+ paragraphs.
I'll take the second paragraph.
Well, I was only going to do the first paragraph and the last two, but okay, that's fine. I was going to cut out the past portion where he's talking about college, but if you want to do it, that's fine. Started off, says, hey guys, just want to drop you a line, tell you really enjoying the show. You all put together an entertaining and informative podcast. Been out of gaming for many years now, but D&D has a special place in my heart, an integral part of my adolescence. It is actually impossible to think about my youth and not think of this game. All of my D&D gaming experience came with the basic expert companion boxes. I used to DM a game for my brother and one of his friends in junior high, although a majority of the time was spent getting the characters in bar fights and running from the city guards, a fighter and a thief, both chaotics. Mm-hmm. We did manage to get some more standard adventures in as well. I was probably too young and uninformed to really understand the politics and cultures and create a very detailed and rich world. Nevertheless, we used to have a great time with it. We played that campaign for a good 2 or 3 years, and in hindsight, those rules were perfect for where we were back then.
However, when second edition was released shortly thereafter, I thought it was brilliant. It simply looked like the way the game was meant to be. I used to look wistfully at a copy of the player's handbook and the DMG that I had gotten from the library and daydream about finding a game group. As a player, I was kind of burned out on DMing at the time, and this was before the internet, with mature and imaginative people that could live up to the potential I saw in the system. Really? Unfortunately, my high school gaming friends did not really fit this description. We did manage to keep a good D6 Star Wars campaign going for a while. Awesome. And that provided hours of fun, but every attempt at D&D quickly devolved into a Monty Python quote recital. My patience with this arrangement was quickly exhausted when every tavern keeper offers spam on the menu, and every shopkeeper speaks with a "bring out your dead" accent, and every villain who was at death's door proclaimed his injuries are just a flesh wound.
Oh God. Continue, please.
I thought you were going to do the two.
Oh,
sorry.
Okay. Go ahead, go on.
I'll
continue it. I'll continue it. Okay, not long after this, I went off to college. Looking back, it probably would have been very easy to find a 2E gaming group at college, but the new and completely unprecedented amount of personal freedom, coupled with the sudden abundance of pretty co-eds, cake parties, and mild hallucinogens, yeah, I missed out on that. Don't rub it in too much. Put my gaming interests on the back burner for a good while. We sporadically continued our D6 Star Wars on winter and spring breaks and even dabbled in Vampire the Masquerade a bit. I'm sorry. But for whatever reason, I never really looked into finding an AD&D group. Tag.
Regardless, I still get nostalgic for this game whenever I see old books and gear. I found a couple of used copies of the Core 2E books and some Splat books on eBay and ordered them just for kicks. Not long after, I discovered your podcast and have been mainlining it for the last 2 weeks. I really love listening to your discussion about all the different topics. Have gotten through episode 13 now and have basically excluded every other podcast and music from my current audio diet.
Whoa.
Good call, sir.
Wow.
When you describe all their campaigns and look how you run games, it makes me think how I always imagined AD&D should be. Your games sound like they are a tremendous amount of fun to play in. I especially look forward to hearing more about Brian's Mystara campaign, as this was the setting I used to run my little game in, although with far less development, I'm sure. Like I said, I'm only on episode 13, so I'm sure I'll get to it eventually.
One question I had for you guys. Have you ever run a purely political campaign? One that has either started that way or turned into one, such as a fighter or a cleric becoming a landowner, or one based on a thieves guild or a wizard school? How have you handled experience and advancement with this? Did any of you develop an XP table with different values for political acts, such as orchestrating a coup or uncovering treachery or the general maneuverings of court life? It always seemed to me that without constant combat and treasure gathering, advancement at the higher levels, is very slow, even though the acts surviving in the political realm and the perils of statecraft in an unstable realm, where your decisions affect millions, would be as equally of value as the character's development as fighting a high-level monster or taking their loot. Okay, that's about all. Keep up the good work, and looking forward to digging through the remainder of your episodes and also checking out your live play at Hammer of the Duchy. Take care, Mark in Las Vegas.
Thank you, Mark. Okay, to answer his question directly, I've never run a campaign that's been purely political. The politics have been sort of like an adjunct to my campaign because the majority of players I've had, they mostly want to go out, kill things, take their stuff, get stronger, kill stronger things, take their stuff, etc., etc. The only time,
said,
yeah, but with that said, go ahead.
You're really asking for something that is a 3E staple. You can have that very easily, a purely political campaign, because it is about handling the encounter by difficulty class, not killing the critter and taking its stuff. Mm-hmm. So whether you beat it, whether you outwit it, whether you outpolitic it, it all applies. Mm-hmm. And you can reverse engineer that into your regular D&D campaign, a D&D campaign.
Corey?
Well, yes, I've played purely political games where the dice rolling had nothing to do with any weapons being out whatsoever. You'd be amazed at how many people pay attention to their non-weapon proficiencies when the game starts headed in this direction. You see a change in some players where their interest is piqued more. You'll also find the quote-unquote, as I like to call them, the Munchkin gamers, as far as Steve Jackson's game Munchkin, who would rather just kick in a door, kill a monster, take the treasure, move on to the next door. Mm-hmm. They're the ones who immediately look bored and start stacking their dice in a tower.
I've seen that.
A lot of the games that I've played that I specifically set up starts the characters out as adventurers, and they end up having to go help a king or a baron or what have you, and they get drawn into it, whether they're used as agents for the baron. Hey, I need you to do me a favor, and I'm going to send you over to this castle. You're going to be protectors of this baroness for me. It's a wedding gift. I'm trying to court her, etc., etc. To hey, there's currently a war, and our king is asking for more hired guards to be king's guardsmen, and he's hiring men of the realm. You're taking a position as the king's guard. You save his life. He starts bringing you into his personal guards, and now he's asking your opinions on political matters, just as a side, like, what do you think we should do? Pretty soon he finds out you have more of a head on your shoulders rather than fill that catapult with some more pitch. And he's like, hey, I could start asking you more political questions. Pretty soon the wizard of the group becomes the vizier, and the guards around him become the advisors. I mean, yeah, I've done it. I've done both. I've never done any XP tables for that kind of stuff. For me, I gauge my players' XP values on their role play, and even when they're doing the whole kick in the door, kill the monsters, if you're playing your character more to show me that your character is not you in armor, it's actually a character that you've created, you gain XP, RP XP from me, role-playing XP. So making a game all of role-play and dice rolls as far as skill checks and what have you, I don't have any charts for it, but I mean, if you're obviously, a lawful evil thief and you start doing, well, if we charge them this much more tax, we can actually pocket that money. You're role-playing your character. You're going to get more XP from me, So I haven't done any charts, but yeah, I've done plenty of those campaigns.
Mm-hmm. I've done some of those campaigns too, where they evolved into a more political-based thing where you're not swinging the sword yourself, but you're leading others to do so in your name or in someone else's name, both between mostly a Forgotten Realms type campaign where you're messing with things in Coromir, you're messing with things with Waterdeep and the Secret Lords of Waterdeep and, things like that. Even to trying to take over the great gray land of Thar and move all the orcs into the Honorok.
Yeah, good luck with that.
I did it.
Oh, well, excuse me. When it comes down to the XP part of it, I kind of figured that in with just as a matter of course that, yeah, like Corey said, if you're just not playing yourself in a suit of armor and a sword, the more I prefer it, which is why, I enjoy listening to the banter between Folon's character and Glen's character in my game because, it's sort of like, the D&D odd couple, and it's just fun to listen to them crack on each other and that kind of stuff. And that's what ends up giving, at the end of adventures, once the adventure's completed, I give an XP bonus for roleplay. It's a certain amount of XP times the grade. It's like if I give an A with RP with role playing, it's like times 1, and then I start going backwards, like B is 75%, C is 50, D is 25, and F is 0, of course. But, that's the only system I can think of when it comes to that kind of thing. It would probably lend itself to a political campaign, since you won't be doing a whole lot of combat, but you will be doing a lot of role-playing and a lot of, interaction with, socially higher NPCs and that kind of thing. So maybe that you should look into something like that. I could probably, write back to us, Mark, and I could probably get you a something out of my house rules. I think I have like a little table for it, but yeah. So thank you for your email, Mark, and write us back with and let us know how your THACO's Hammer addiction is coming along, and whether or not we need to take you to THA or whatever, or maybe we just need to just make the addiction worse, shall we say? By doing
make it terminal.
Terminal.
Make it a terminal addiction.
How did he die? He listened to THACO's Hammer until he died. He forgot to eat. He forgot to sleep. All he would do is listen to the podcast.
Like those Korean gold farmers in WoW.
Oh.
Death to all ninja looters and gold farmers. What?
Yeah.
Yeah, they had a bunch of those kids that were so addicted to that MMO that they passed out at the gaming table and they had to go to the hospital.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow, that's unbelievable. Okay.
Anyway, thanks, Mark.
Yeah, thank you for your email, Mark. Okay, full on. Your turn to reach into the mailbag and pull one out.
All right, let's pull one for Gayendra Singh. A question regarding the interaction of spells. Hi, guys. First time I've ever mailed you guys, but I've really enjoyed following the podcast, so keep up the good work. I'm playing a campaign that's been going on for a long time now. I joined a number of years ago, and the characters are all now fairly high level, between 12th and 14th level. Recently, some arguments have erupted over some rulings the DM has made over how spells interact with each other. I find myself at times agreeing with the DM approach and at others disagreeing. An example of where I would agree is when one in the same round cast Cone of Cold and another Flame Strike. The DM ruled this would result in a spurt of steam or fog that would blind nearby characters for a number of rounds. An example where I found myself disagreeing is where the DM ruled that Fireball cast into a Cloud Kill would combust the gas and cause a massive explosion. Is Cloud Kill gas really combustible? Just to be clear, I'm making a point of not arguing with the DM. The job is hard enough without players being jerks, but that hasn't stopped other rules lawyerly types from doing so. So, I was wondering if anywhere there is some published guidance on the interaction of spells in AD&D, or even in earlier versions of D&D. And how do you guys deal with arguments breaking out at the table, short of killing PCs in-game, of course?
Oh,
Best, formerly a DM, Jennifer.
Thank you, Jennifer. Corey?
What?
No, floor is yours.
Oh, as far as arguing with the DM, at my table, it's a bad idea.
Yes, I remember your rules that you posted on the wall in your gaming room, Corey.
Yeah, Gajendra, if you listen to the podcast where we went through the rules of our tables, DM has final word in the books. It says DM has final word in the books. It says the DM may change, edit, alter, delete, or add to any rule in the book that is in printed rules. As far as rules lawyers, they can shut up and sit down because it's up to the DM at the time. If you're not the DM and the DM says that the chlorine gas is flammable, then the chlorine gas is flammable.
Or if he says it's not chlorine gas, it's not chlorine gas.
Yep.
Yeah.
All it needs just to be a gas that if you inhale it, there's a chance it's going to kill you.
Could be chlorine, could be methane, could be carbon dioxide, could be any number of things.
It could be my farts after a chili cook-off night. It could be anything.
Anything, yes.
As far as anywhere there's some published guidance, I'll leave that to the other two. But as far as I know, I don't know if there's any actual full rule-out interaction with spells in D&D where there's an errata. As far as that, there may be some Dragon articles that I may not know of. But as far as that, go ahead.
I was going to say, I believe there's some in both the spells and magic. The combat and tactics spells and magic might have a couple references to it. You also see it referenced possibly in the Guide to All Things Magical or little commentary and notes and little tricks of the trade. You'll also definitely find it if you look into anything like Hackmaster. They like to go into details like that, and they'll get you deep into the weeds for that if you want to see some kind of published reference to it.
Yeah,
Other
usually
than that,
at my table, just the last thing that I have to say, at my table, if I make a ruling and something happens, one of my main players is a rules lawyer, and his twin brother is my head mage. As far as if I hit, well, his highest level character, I've ascended to become my deity of magic. So literally, the boy knows every spell that's printed in D&D backwards and forwards and how they work. If I make a ruling, if it comes up again and I can't remember, I look at him and he'll either shake his head no or he'll nod his head yes, and I'll be like, okay, yeah, that's what I ruled last time. That's what it is. So literally, it's up to the DM, and I usually go with what I've, make a house rule and stick with it. So,
Yeah.
and technically, even then, you don't have to stick with it because my magic is not your magic, is not his magic. So when I cast Stinking Cloud, it might be methane. When he casts Sinking Cloud, it might be chlorine. When he casts Stinking Cloud, it might be, whatever else there is out there. But it is an individual, especially if you're using that tailored individual magic thing where, hey, all my spells are red or all my things, have to do with ice. Okay, it could all be different. So you don't even have to stick to one letter of the law rule for one spell interaction versus another spell interaction. The DM can make the call on the fly depending on the situation where you are.
Yeah, what was the gas from that movie, The Rock?
Oh God, I don't remember what it was called, but it was some weird ass chemical.
It was some nerve gas.
Yeah,
it was a wild nerve gas.
Yeah, it'd be like sarin or something like that.
Yeah, sarin gas. That's what it was. All right.
Yeah, but as far as I'm concerned, I agree with both of you guys. I mean, if a DM is making a ruling on the fly and you disagree with it, then fine, you disagree with it, but you save your arguments for after the gaming session. You don't do it in game because, as we all know, our gaming time is precious. There are very few of us that, game around the clock every single day in whatever format it might be, and not even mentioning, face-to-face table time. So, if you disagree with something, sure, but save it. You don't argue with your DM, especially after something you disagree with happens, because DMs usually take a dim view on that, Corey. But as far as arguments breaking out the table, if it's something between the players and if it's bad enough, I will tell them to table it until after the game is over, because I've had too many games as a player and a DM where two players start squabbling about something, and it's the classic meme of it being in character that spills out of character. Then the next thing you know, there's a fist fight going on. Yeah, so it's one of those things where the players, it's like Corey said, if you disagree with it, fine. But if you're going to make a big case about it and you're going to try to turn into Perry Mason, shut it.
Yeah. And I would leave the spell interaction thing. Look at the sources that specify magic in their breakout, whether it's a spells and magic book or a guide to all things magical or things like that. If they give any particular guidance, other than that, I would just leave specific spell interactions unless it's in print that they call out that they interact in some way. I usually just leave them not interacting. Right. Now, usually if there's a third element at play and there's two spells going on, that's where it gets interesting. Like when we cast Lightning Bolt into a body of water and the DM judged that it actually conducted a hydrolysis function and separated oxygen and hydrogen into free-floating hydrogen and oxygen, and then the fireball went in the room, then it exploded. Or when the green dragon breathes, that is specified a chlorine gas, and then we had an explosive present at the time, and that exploded. Or actually, that wasn't it. It was aerosolized flour.
Oh, yikes. That's right. I remember this.
Yeah, we had aerosolized flour from a bunch of hidden bodies that were pretend bodies that were actually flour sacks, and all the flour sacks had fire trap on them, and the giants pounded on them, and that aerosolized all the flour and set off the fire traps in the barn that was filled with pitch and hay.
For those of you out there who don't know, once flour aerosolizes and becomes a powder into the air, it's highly flammable.
Yes, it is.
Explosively flammable.
Or yeah, in the same case, I've told the story before about how a party was told that there was a black dragon in a mine, and they thought that they were going up against a black dragon, so they all, skewed their protections towards acid. So when they actually got into the mine, it turned out, huh?
Shadow Dragon or Deep Dragon?
No, Red Dragon.
Oh.
Yeah, and God only knows there's, they're walking around in like, let's see, I'd say probably about 3 inches of coal dust.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so when the dragon breathed, they're like, we'll handle this. We got all our protections up. We got protection from acid. We got all this. Guys, it's fire. And guess what? You're in an enclosed area, so you're not going to get if you get a save, it's going to be at a penalty. Oh, wait a minute. You guys are walking around in 3 inches of coal dust. No save. Bye. Because basically what ended up happening was when the dragon breathed, of course, the coal dust ignited, and boom. Just parts went flying everywhere because, I think the DM even went one step further and just said, no save, maximum damage, you're all dead.
And of course, you can always, there's just like the magic is the magic is the magic, and the answer can simply be, it's magic, son. It just does it that way. It is your DM's judgment how much, if any, he wishes to allow quote-unquote real-world physics and science to apply to anything you do in your D&D realm.
Yes. And
just like you can sit there and grind every combination of saltpeter, bat guano, and charcoal you want for weeks, and nothing will happen.
Yep.
In my world,
it is completely insoluble, and it can't be done and inert unless you're dealing with, say, Forgotten Realms, where they said, and it's smoke powder, and it requires magical infusion to allow the science to work.
Yep. That's why, it's like, with Forgotten Realms and that thing, there's a magical component to smoke powder. There is. They say so. Because, it's one of those things where, once firearms start being made and start being mass-produced and start being improved upon, then all of a sudden you've got, more or less the Industrial Revolution alongside exactly. Alongside the magic. And then, then of course you start going down a rabbit hole that you can't really easily get out of.
Steampunk is a fun rabbit hole, and so is the Witchfire trilogy. Take that back.
I keep meaning to read Witchfire, and I keep forgetting. One of these days I'll get around to it. Okay, and thank you again, Gajendra, and please email us again. We, of course, look forward to your correspondence and talking about the questions and debating and discussing the questions you have. And that is, of course, at thacoshammer@gmail.com, or we have a voicemail number.
The voicemail number is 405-806-0555.
Yes, indeed it is. Okay. Speaking of voicemails, I have one from Old School Chris. It's a rather short and sweet, jeez, I'm tired. Short and sweet voicemail, but maybe the answer isn't so much short and sweet. So if you give me a moment to get everything set up, I will get that started.
Hey guys, this is Old School Chris from the forums. Subject came up in one of my second edition games I was playing with Doc Mindswipe. Subject is weapon proficiencies and slots that you use. One of my characters has a bastard sword, which you can use one-handed or two-handed, and I never really thought about it, but the question came up, does using a weapon slot, do you have to use a weapon slot for each one of those kinds of attacks, or do you take one weapon slot and use it for the bastard sword, and it is usable one-handed or two-handed? Player's Handbook states any weapon that's listed requires a weapon slot. It's listed as both, but as a subheading. So I'm just kind of interested on what you guys thought, and keep up the good work. Love the show. Bye.
Okay. Well, the simple answer for that one is the bastard sword is one of those unique weapons in D&D history and chronology, and whether you're going to get into the real history of them or not, that doesn't matter because we're just talking about D&D here. For the bastard sword, if you wield it in one hand, you get longsword damage with it. You can use it simply with the longsword weapon proficiency. If someone passes you a bastard sword and you're proficient in a longsword, you can use it like a longsword.
Yep.
If you have bastard sword proficiency, you can use it one or two-handed, and you get two-handed proficiency. You get bastard sword damage with it either way, and if you're using it in two hands, you get the bastard sword damage. It's just that progression, it's that bridge between two-hander weapons, one-hander weapons. That's one proficiency that lets you basically have a 2-for-1 weapon. If I want lesser damage, I can fight one-handed. If I want greater damage, I can fight two-handed, and it meets the prerequisites for having the proficiencies if I wanted to stack it with other things, or if I had weapon group or something like that going on.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty much right. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, if you take the bastard sword, you don't have to use another slot to be able to use it one-handed or two-handed. I think that's just a DM trying to be a little bit cheap, I dare say. As far as now, the issue with the bastard sword is that, yeah, you can use it one-handed and get longsword damage, but the speed factor is slightly higher than an actual longsword. That was a change they made in, I want to say, Combat and Tactics, and it's one that I agree totally with. The speed factor for a bastard sword, I believe, is 8. No, actually, I think it's 7. I'm looking for my weapons chart while Full-On was talking, and I just found it, so I'm going to scroll down to sword, bastard. There we go. Okay.
And of course, it's more fun to be using it one-handed as a half-ogre where you get two-handed damage.
Well, then there's that. Actually, speed factor for a bastard sword is 6, whether you use it one-handed or two. Now, if you decide to take two-handed weapon proficiency, that will drop the speed factor to 3, which makes it
I see a
really
6
fast.
and an 8.
6 and an 8? Okay, okay, then I don't know where that... Okay, this chart is incorrect. Okay. Yeah, and I copied it straight out of Combat and Tactics, too. I don't know what happened there, but either way. Okay, so it's 6 one-handed and 8 two-handed. And, you get a little more damage, of course, if you use it two-handed, but with the bastard sword, it just gives you the utility. Say if you have like a little buckler shield on your arm, and you're up against somebody who's a little bit better at fighting than you, you can always use it one-handed and be able to use the buckler shield. And if you want to use it two-handed, then you can do that, but of course you can't use the shield. So,
but you get the extra damage, and extra damage is always good for finishing your fights faster.
I agree, 100%. So, Corey?
Well, I agree with you guys as far as the proficiency slots. For example, if I take Greatsword as my weapon, and I wield it one-handed, there's no stats for it to be less damagey because that's not the way that it was written.
Correct.
This weapon is one of the few weapons that has a one-handed and two-handed option as far as damage and other stats for it. So it's still the same weapon.
Yep.
Just because I have a long sword and I use it one-handed, if I'm ready to cut off the head of a Hydra and I want to bring both arms onto that handle and bring it down, it's not going to change anything because there's no extra setting or no extra stat line for two-handed on a longsword.
Right. All you get is that extra bonus strength damage for two-handed use.
Yeah, which is only a plus one.
Yeah.
So I personally keep it as one weapon because you're proficient with the use of the bastard sword. Whether you use one hand to use it proficiently or two hands to use it proficiently, it doesn't matter in my campaign because you are proficient with a weapon. It doesn't say weapon style proficiencies. It says weapon proficiency. So in me, this is one of the few things that I take by the book as far as its weapon proficiencies. You're proficient with the bastard sword, whether you use one hand, two hands, call your ogre friend over and have him use his third hand. I don't care. You're still one weapon.
And
that's funny because my half ogre has 3 hands.
Oh, that's a story I'd like to hear another time.
Is he a Greenwood Ranger?
No, I just spent way too much.
Sprouting out the chest.
Spent way too much time in Castle Greyhawk.
Oh, yeah, gotcha. As if you need like a movie example of using the bastard sword, I can think of 2. One's Mad Mardigan from Willow. Even if the blade was a little long for it to be a bastard sword, but he used that thing one-handed. And also Aragorn from Lord of the Rings movies. That was a bastard sword, even though it was it was pretty long in its own right, but in fights you see him using it one-handed or two-handed depending on what he was fighting at the time.
Yeah, and just like with all other fights in D&D, it really is a mishmash of story, not actual strike, actual hit, actual die roll. So you're always changing hands, changing grips, but longsword is a longsword is a longsword. It's a one-handed weapon. Two-handed sword is a two-handed sword is a two-handed sword is a two-handed weapon, unless you got monkey grip. And bastard sword bridges the gap. That's why it's called a hand-and-a-half sword. One-handed gets one damage. Two hands gets another damage because you're able to leverage the leverage more.
Okay, and I think we've kind of answered your question. Thank you again, Old School Chris, for your voicemail. Okay, Corey, your turn.
Oh, well, let's do the Joseph Robideau.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Hey, guys, long-time 2E player and just discovered your podcast. I'm really enjoying it so far. Well, you're enjoying it for the rest of the time, too, so sit back and I began playing back in the mid-'90s and just never stopped playing 2E. I've actually been fortunate that I've recently been able to unite my high school gaming group with my college group, thus creating a super group.
Dun, dun, dun.
We're spread out all across the country, however, and have to use an online tabletop. Nothing wrong with that. We use it here on THACO's Hammer when we do our live play. Mm-hmm. We really like the Battlegrounds as far as its options and feel would recommend it for anyone in our situation. My question, I've heard you all talking on a couple of older podcasts about how multi-class characters can become back of the party.
I think you meant backbone.
Flankers.
Oh. Back of the party
Oh,
characters because they aren't as powerful as their single-class brethren. Full-on use an example of a 15th level fighter being stronger than an 8/7 fighter mage. My issue is that I haven't found the level disparity to be even close to that far from one another. For example, a single-class fighter with 500,000 XP is a 10th level. A multi-class fighter mage with 500,000 or 250,000 per side is a 9th/10th level. So I'm not sure I see how you guys have experienced such extreme disparities in level. After all, unlike high levels, XP for each class is just doubling, meaning that a multi-class version of a particular class is just going to be one level behind the single-class version like my example. I ask this because, at least in my group, very few people play single-class characters anymore because we find multi-classing gives more options, more fun, just an opinion, and actually more power. My fighter mage in our current campaign runs circles power-wise around the single-class fighter in the party. So any comments would be appreciated. I may be missing something, so set me straight. Thanks again, and keep it up, Joe in Shreveport, Louisiana.
I'll take the hit on that one. I was actually mixing a little bit of my 3E and my 2E.
It's okay, Forrest. It's all right, Forrest.
It's okay. In 1E and 2E, yes, the XP progression does keep them a lot closer to the actual XP chart breakout, so they're still only a level or two lagging behind. That only occasionally cuts you out of one particular spell level, for example, that someone else might have, or a few hit dice or hit points. So you'll be taking the advantage of versatility and sacrificing a little bit of hit points, a little bit of weapon proficiency, maybe a little bit of spell capacity versus the single class purist of whatever class you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because...
My mistake there, but again, it doesn't really make you a full-bore flanker as bad as it does in other editions.
Right. Yeah. Go ahead, Corey.
Yeah. My two-piece in this is twofold. I see what he's saying about it's only being one level behind because you're half the amount of XP. That's true, and I understand that part. What I see is a power loss, and when I mean the level disparity in my campaign, and when you play campaigns long enough, you have a person who's a straight fighter who's 10th level, and then you have somebody whose character dies, and they have to make a new one. Well, I'm not going to give them the same level that their character died at. They're going to take a penalty for dying. I mean, as far as bringing a new character in. You're just not going to come in, oh, the party's 10th level? Yeah, make a 10th level fighter mage. Go ahead.
Oh, no way.
No. You're going to have some level disparity as far as power within the party. Mm-hmm. Comparing a fighter to a fighter mage, well, you're going to have level disparity as far as when he came into the campaign, but you're still going to have the same XP. Also, the difference is if you don't have 10% bonus for your prime requisites for both of your classes,
mm-hmm.
you're going to start having an XP variance between your two classes.
Yeah, and it gets huge. I mean,
also, the other thing is the power level that I think that Full On was talking about is, yeah, I'm a level 10 fighter. I have up to 100 hit points plus a con bonus, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, you're a fighter mage. Okay, that's great. You have 90-10. You also have 94. Now divide both of them in two.
Yep.
Guess what?
That's the drawback.
That's the
You're
power
running
difference
50
we're talking
to
about.
60 hit points right there. Yeah, your versatility with spell use can make up for that, but you better be quick on the draw and stay out of anti-magic spheres.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I'm a level 10 fighter with +3 plate mail on. You're a level 9 fighter, level 9 mage. Oh wait, what are you wearing? Oh yeah, cloth. Why? Do you want your spells? Well, now we're talking a power difference. Yeah, you can cast that
I'm
magic
wearing
missile.
my elven
fireball.
chain. I've got Macy 5 elven chain.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but
yeah,
the
good
point
luck with that.
Yeah, there is a power difference when you're looking at splitting it. You do get more options for abilities to do stuff, but you're also taking the drawbacks that you have to take from the classes as well.
Yeah. One drawback, like Corey said, is the hit points. That is a major one. I mean, I've changed multi-classing around so that they get a few more hit points and they stay relatively close to their single class compatriots, but that's the one drawback. The other drawback, of course, is the advancement.
The other problem
It works either way too, because you can have that 10th level fighter, you can have that 8-9 fighter mage, and you can have that 10th level mage. Well, that multi-class guy can say, "Hey, I'm a versatile fighter who can throw spells." That's one way to look at it. You can also say, "Hey, I'm a versatile mage who can punch you in the face with a longsword." Both of which have advantages, but when that other guy can say, power word kill, yo.
Yeah.
And all you can do is cloud kill. You're going to run into a disparity there.
Mm-hmm.
The last thing I got to say about the Joseph's email here. Yeah, okay, what your last paragraph said, you have a 10th level fighter and you have a 10th level fighter mage. And the reason the power difference is that you're seeing from your side about the fighter mage being powerful, one of the major flaws, and this is just my opinion, a lot of people may agree, may disagree, with second edition, levels 1 through I'd say 7, the fighter is going to trump a mage regardless of what he's wearing or what the mage has.
I go 1 to 5 personally.
Okay,
but
ahead. You know where I'm going with it.
Yeah, I know exactly where
in the higher level games, a higher level mage starts literally smoking a fighter. I don't care what magic items you give the fighter. I don't care what kind of armor you give him. A 10th level, a first level fighter is going to trump a first level mage. A 10th level mage is going to make a 10th level fighter look like a little child with a stick. There's no reason why you can't cast lightning bolt and then a couple fireballs when the fighter goes, I have a +3 sword. Yeah. Well, that's great and all, but guess what I just did? Power word kill.
Yep. You know,
and
that's the whole thing.
I wish you die.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, that's the thing about the character classes. Each one of the classes, they have strengths and they have weaknesses. I mean, I've gotten into debates on this on Dragon's Foot. Yeah, big surprise, right? Yeah. But the whole thing is that a 10th level fighter and 10th level mage, you start the fighter and the mage 30 feet apart from each other. The mage is going to win. Yep. Because the mage is going to immediately go for his most powerful spell, and he's able to cast up to 5th level spells at that point. And he can either try to just straight up damage the fighter, and if he's smart, he'll disable him first.
Whole person.
whole person, freaking grease. Yeah. Let's see. There are different ways to go about it aside from just casting a fireball, because the 10th level fighter, unless he gets really unlucky with his save and the damage dice, he's going to live through that.
Or let's just say web.
Yeah, web. That's
there
another.
You go.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to take another 5-10 feet step back, and then I'm casting fireball.
Yeah, exactly. And just getting back to your point about the disparity if you don't have high prime requisites in both classes, that's Allie's character, as a matter of fact, in the live play. I mean, she's got the wisdom, the XP bonus as a cleric, but not as a ranger. And the thing is that the cleric is going to advance faster than the ranger. And right now I think her character's like 4-5, maybe 4-4, I think, somewhere around there. But as the game goes on, and if I have anything to say about that, it's going to go on for a while. As the game goes on, she's going to be like 4-6, 5-6, 5-7, 5-8, because until you get right around 8th or 9th level as a cleric, you are advancing fast. And then all of a sudden you just hit a plateau, a wall, and then all of a sudden the XP requirements just get really, really high. But, I take your point, Corey. You're absolutely right about it.
And you're also going to start seeing, as you're dividing your XP, whether you're getting the XP bonus or not, the fact that you're dividing your XP, you're going to start that 1-level disparity at 10th level is going to turn into like a 2-level disparity, going to turn into a 3-level disparity as you're still dividing that XP. And I love multi-class characters. In my 2E characters, I got a bank full of double and triple class multi-class characters.
Yep, me too. But
they sit in a pocket of adventuring, not so much a progression of adventuring.
Because it does. That's the one thing that's a little discouraging about playing a multi-class character in a campaign, is that as your single class compatriots are just romping up through the levels, going from levels 1 to 5 to 7, that kind of thing, and you're still going along at 3-3, 4-4, 4-5, and things like that. Yeah, it tends to be a little discouraging, but you know what? It's just it's just the trade-off of having the class. I mean, I've seen a bunch of posts on forums about how, this guy wants to completely revamp the multi-class system and make it like it wasn't basic, where you had an elf who advanced extremely slowly, but got to use spells and got to fight if they wanted to. And it's, to me, it's
they did that. It's called Spells and Magic and Combat and Tactics, where you can build your class how you like and get the benefits of being that single class entity who has a variety of ability, or be a purist in a class.
Yeah, I agree. Any other points, gentlemen?
No, I think we're good there. Thank you, Joe in Shreveport.
Thank you. And watch out for them crazies in Bon Tomp, will you? All right. Full on, it is your turn, sir.
Undermountain Passports from Sean
I knew
Anderson.
you were going for this. I knew you were going for this.
Yeah.
Hello, all. My name is Sean Anderson, DM Airmont. I found your podcast about 2 weeks ago and have been trying to get caught up. I have listened to about 35 so far. Man, you're mainlining better than that other guy.
Okay.
So far, 1 to 25, and then a few of the later ones. I think you all are great and love hearing about 2nd edition. I have played since original 1E back around 1982 or so. First book I had was the original first printing, Deities and Demigods. Woohoo! He printed woohoo. I have been playing 3.5E for the last 10 years off and on now. I'm about to start a 3.5E Forgotten Realms campaign with all new first-level characters, and it's going to be in Undermountain for a while. I listened to the podcast while you were brought up on the Pocket Mod character sheets and thought it was a great idea, so I printed some out and then printed out some small passport-type pages to attach to the back. I then put those in a small passport-type book for the players that will be a minor magic item. This magic item will be given to all adventurers who enter Undermountain from the Yawning Portal Inn. Well, the magic item, after a player places a drop of blood on it, activates with all the character's vital information for tracking on a board in the Yawning Portal Inn. The passport pages at the back track each individual encounter, monster type the character encounters. When, if the adventurers return up the well, the passports are collected and tabulated. At the end of which, each month, the adventurer who had the most encounters for his power level will receive a 1,000 gold piece prize. I've attached pics of the passport. Please tell me what you all think. Thanks for the great old school style podcast, for providing lots of new ideas. Keep amusing, killing my players with. Sean Airmont Anderson. Just make sure you're not going to piss off Hallister with that.
Yeah.
Because that's what he does.
Yeah, that's
down
exactly
at the bottom of the adventure of Undermountain, where he has the map of Undermountain with the little diorama with all the things going on that he looks at and can reach down and start doing the Hand of God thing on.
Yep. Yep, because what level is Hallister? 27?
He is like anything else in the Forgotten Realms. He is whatever level the DM needs him to be to accomplish his ends, like Elminster.
I agree.
Yeah,
I was just saying.
the last printed episode, I think he's 27.
Yeah, I thought he was about 27. But, I mean, I could see Durnan doing that because Durnan is, his official stats is like an 18th level fighter.
It's a money-making scheme. It's going to have a leaderboard. It's going to have bets down.
So he's turned, he's basically turned Undermountain into a golf tournament.
Yes.
With real-time tracking and everything like that. I love this idea. It's actually
it's like that Order of the Stick comic, Fantasy. Hey man, we're doing great, man. My guys just made it into Mordor. Oh man, I think I'm going to trade in my Weasley kid. Hey, let me check on how the Starks are. Oh crap.
Exactly. Executively. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty cool. I like that. And I'm looking at the pictures, I like this whole idea. It's got as complete of a map of Undermountain as I've ever seen, on the back of it. And of course, players can go from point A to point B. My whole thing is, that is a question. How would Hallister deal with something like this? Not well, I don't think.
Well, it depends. He's either amused, he's not amused, or he's going to vary between the two. And he may or may not interfere.
Yeah. Hallister
and of course,
crazy.
Then, of course, you're going to have the let's go stop Hallister from interfering quests, which are going to be your high-level campaign elements.
Extremely high level.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the minimum on that would be 18th level. I'm being completely serious, because I've seen what he has on his level to protect himself, just in case someone does get powerful enough to go challenge him. Let's put it this way. If Elminster doesn't want to mess with Hallister, neither should you. It's just a bad idea.
I'd almost want to recommend being able to print the map side of that booklet on reappearing ink or something like that, so that only the elements of Undermountain they've actually been in are revealed, as opposed to, hey, here's a pocket map.
Yeah, you need
9 times out of 10, the adventurers going into Undermountain, the quest job is, hey, go map Undermountain for X, Y, or Z and bring back a map. Which in itself pisses off Hallister, because one of the things he does is restructure the dungeon physically behind people who go mapping it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So your maps rapidly become invalid.
Yeah.
Or only vaguely close.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's exactly right.
I love the idea. It's an awesome idea. I love handing characters and players physical props. I think it's some of the best playing parts, because not only are they more focused because they have something to hold, it's interesting to them to see how much detail you put in it. They just don't look at it and toss it to the side and go, okay, next. I mean, it's something to them to actually hold as part of your world. You're bringing part of your world to life.
Yeah.
My only problem with the setup, and maybe it's just my group because of the way they are, you're literally telling them, hey, if you kill more stuff – oh, saved it. Almost said it.
Almost.
You kill more stuff than your buddy over there, you get more money. You win. This turns it into, so I can jump in front of the cleric and save the cleric from the one hit die zombie, or I can do a full charge across the hall and hit the 7 hit dice vampire and possibly kill him. Well, screw the freaking cleric. I'm going after the vampire. It can make players make bad decisions.
Yes.
That's the only problem and possible downfall I see of this. Now, if you have mature players who's obviously going to take care of, screw the gold, I want to keep my cleric alive, then this is awesome. Then it's a great idea. Only in my group, this would turn into, no, I hit him last. No, I did the last most damage.
Yeah.
No, I did. No, I'm going to hold my turn because I think enough.
It is the great evil, greater evil than even collectible card games. It is reality TV invades my Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
I've literally watched a player at my table who will remain nameless, and you know who you are, Kevin.
So much for nameless.
Actually look over at another person's character sheet and go, I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, well, he can do a maximum of 13 with his strength bonus. I'm going to hold my action and see if he hits, because if he hits, it'll bring the creature down, I think, almost to death, and then I can come in and do my 7 and kill it. Wait, why? Because I get 1.25% XP bonus. That's how you do it, Corey. I'm like,
oh my god.
What?
metagaming at its worst.
What?
I'm holding off the killing blow to get the killing blow XP.
Yes, and
so we're going to sit there and have a slap fight until the thing goes down.
Yeah, but you're literally with this scenario, you're literally telling them, "Hey, if you guys kill more stuff than your buddy, you get more gold than everybody else." Wait, are you serious? All right, screw being cautious. I'm going to get some money. So it's a good idea as long as you have the mature enough players to actually not abuse it to the point like I had. But yeah, I like this. Good idea and awesome props. Kudos to Sean.
Yep.
Excellent. Yes. And hey, it's also an extra thing that you can have lying around in case the resurrection spells are needed, because it's got a drop of their blood on it.
Oh, that's right. You can do that from a drop of blood.
And just think, I'll bet you Halster is going to start posting guard posts. You must present your papers!
You must have your papers.
You are not allowed to proceed into this sector without your papers!
I could see that. I could definitely see that. Okay, and all right, thank you for your email, and please write us again.
An adventure turning into like the terminal where they seize the passport down in Undermountain and hold it.
Oh, well, they wouldn't last too long, because then Hallister would be like,
He's probably the one who sees it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Have one of his underlings who are archmages in their own right do.
I'm sorry, there's been an overthrow of power in the Red Wizards of Thay, and we cannot release you from Undermountain until we get a resolution to the political outcome.
Exactly.
Or you could have creatures who go into backpacks and steal the actual passports, and then you got to go on a hunt for it because you can't leave yet.
Yep.
But wait a minute. Wait, we're down to our last heal potion, and the cleric is unconscious. Yeah, but you got to find your passport so you can get out of here.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, of course, the extra, Mert the moneylender is probably going to be backstabbing Durnan by running the forged passports market.
He wouldn't do that, would he? Then again,
Mert, moneylender.
Yeah,
What?
it's true. You got a point. You have a point. Yeah. Well, Well, aren't they both? Well, never mind. We're getting deeper into Waterdeep politics. I don't want to go there. Okay, moving
That's
right.
a call back to our other email about a politics campaign.
Exactly.
See how it goes.
Yeah. See how it all works out. Okay, this is a voicemail from our longtime contributor and unofficial sixth member of this podcast, DM Mojo. I have to make him number 6 because Bad Mike's number 5. That whole.
All right.
Bad Mike was one of the originals. He's the 5th Beatle, and Kojo's number 6.
Okay.
So, give me a moment, and I will turn my speakers up, and we will hear his dulcet tones and what's on his mind this time.
Greetings, Hammer Wielders. This is DM Kojo. I was listening to the latest episode, 66, and your discussion on locating secret doors. One thing that I was wondering about clarification is, do you have the players roll their secret door check, or do you, as the dungeon master, roll it behind the screen? Which kind of opens up to the discussion, I guess, of who rolls what. DMs let players roll everything. I'm kind of a split bag on that. I roll thief ability checks, secret door checks, and checks to see if, somebody got poisoned by a rat bite or something like that. Anything where I feel like the dice roll could tip off the players to whether they really found something or not. I like the idea with secret doors of somebody wants to search and I roll, and I tell them they didn't find one, even though there might be one there. They don't know what I rolled, so they don't really know, did they search and just not find it, or did they search and there really isn't one there. Kind of like to keep my players guessing. But other things, they roll, all their attacks, saving throws, all those types of things. So it's pretty much just the thief abilities and the secret door checks for the most part, unless there's special circumstances. So just curious on how you guys handle that as Dungeon Masters, and keep up the great work. Talk to you later. Bye.
Oh, hell yes. I will say again, oh, hells yes. I said it so nice, I had to say it twice. Yeah, there's things that players don't need to know, and this is all of them.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's gone to the point where I actually made up a little form, a little chart, where I will do a secret check sheet where I have a grid of like 20 by 40 stack of lines where I pre-roll real rolls, a whole bunch of stuff, and put it down.
Mm-hmm.
And I have that, and I just tick them off as needed, and just go down the line, just marking them off per character. I give each player a name line, and that line is there. And I just run down the line and tick off secret checks as needed across the board for D20 rolls. And if it's something that pops up that way, I've had players get suspicious when I am behind the DM screen rolling dice. To the point where I got so pissed off, I started rolling dice randomly all the time just to never let them know when it's real and when I'm just fiddling with my dice.
Mm-hmm.
But to save time, suspicion, and agony, I just went to the check sheet to mark it off so that I don't have to give any tells or clues that I'm doing that.
Right.
It's part of my pregame prep.
Makes sense. Corey?
Yeah, I roll for stat checks, or what I do is I will ask them what their number is, that their number, if I don't have it already written down for the thieves and what have you, and I will ask them what their number is and have them roll the die, and then I will add or minus behind the screen depending. I will sometimes roll myself, but usually let it up to the player.
Mm-hmm.
Period. End of statement.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
These skills are things that it's okay to let the players handle. They kind of know, did you successfully climb the wall?
Right.
No.
Right.
Gravity takes over. It's kind of evident.
Yeah.
Hide in shadows, move silently, not so much. Pickpockets, kind of gives itself away. Either you did or you didn't, and you may or may not have gotten caught.
Yeah.
I can let you pull your own pickpockets.
Right. Right.
But use magic device. Hey, I pulled it off. It worked. Oh, I didn't pull it off. I can't try again this level because I've blown it and someone else has to try. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Those are kind of obvious.
Yeah. I mean, the way I run it is that, you guys have experienced it in my game. I usually let you guys do proficiency checks, ability checks, that kind of stuff because, well, I think the least amount of gaming experience at the table is probably Corey's, just because he's the youngest, but even he's got close to 20 years at this point. Am I correct in assuming that?
What's that?
How long you been gaming? I know you don't want to give away your age. I know you're vain, but I just want to use this for argument's sake.
How long have I been playing Dungeons and Dragons, or how long have I been gaming? Because that little cool mobile over my playpen was literally a game to me. So what are we talking here?
Out the womb. Is that how it
goes? I started D&D at age 9, and I'm 38.
Okay, so 29 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. I know Allie's up over 30 at this point. Fawn's close to 30, I'm pretty sure. Glen, I think, Glen's almost going on 40 at this point. So I know that I can trust you guys. You guys aren't, going to just start, cheating on dice rolls. Then again, we also use online, so it's kind of hard to do that. But if we were all face to face, I'd be like, okay, ability checks, skill checks, that kind of stuff. Secret doors, you guys can roll it as long as it's out in the open. I don't care, and because like I said, it's just a matter of player trust the way I look at it. There are some checks that I reserve for myself. Secret doors, at this point, I've been playing so long, it's like, it's just a matter of time in my aspect. It's just whether or not you get it on your first die roll or your fifth, and you spent an hour and a half combing over every brick on every wall in, this 30 by 30 dungeon room.
Right.
I don't have an issue with that. There are some secret rolls that need to happen. But I don't have quite as many of those, as you or our friend DM Kojo may have, and that's only because I'm like, we're all adults here. If you're going to cheat at my dice rolls, you can just get up from my table and gather your stuff, turn around, walk out of my house, and never come back again.
GTFO.
Yeah, exactly. GTFO, exactly. So, I let the players do it because it's also a level of, should I say, game mechanic interaction, if you will. I don't want to take every role aside from combat out of the player's hands because then, they kind of get a little bored with that. So
I did find a way to mix the two of those too, where at one point I presented the chart to the players in pregame setup and stuff like that and said, hey, sit down there, grab your D20 right now, and roll and fill out this chart with all your numbers. Just roll a bunch of D20s, write the numbers down, fill it, go. And that is your secret check chart, and you actually got to roll the die. I just don't have to tell you when it happens.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Exactly. And
Then
that's also another way to do that. And it also lends to drama, the right kind of drama within the game, and it doesn't just make things so either incumbent on the players or the DM that, it sort of satisfies both parties.
Yep.
They can't accuse you of railroading with all the secret checks if they actually rolled the dice.
Exactly.
Even if it was 3 weeks ago.
True that. That was Kojo, right?
Yes, that was
Kojo.
Yep.
Thank you, co-host number 6, for your input and your question.
Mm-hmm. Okay, one more email, and I think we are pretty much done. So, Corey?
I was going to let, was that?
I'll take it.
Well,
yeah.
Either way, go for it. Go, Tim. Do Tim.
Campaign Breakers and DM Experience from Tim Cafferty.
Yes, sir.
Hey, fellas, DM Heretic writing in again. With campaigns in perfect worlds where things don't always go according to our prep work, has there ever been a moment in any of your campaigns that broke your game? Or knew you shouldn't have allowed a certain kit, and the PC's use of which made the game miserable to DM and for the other players? If so, how did you handle it? In a game I DM'd 20-something years ago, the last game with this particular group, there was a min-maxer playing a dwarven battle rager who was just running amok in my campaign, starting fights with everyone including the city guard, and just intentionally trying to ruin the game. The game ended with bitter feelings between that player and myself, but with that, and now more than 20 years of experience DMing, I know better than to just let that happen again. But I ask all of you, in your vast DMing history, what was the most difficult decision or ruling that you have had to make as a DM? Thank you for all the hard work and dedication that you've had for THACO's Hammer. It is well received and appreciated on the other side. DM Heretic, a.k.a. Tim the Enchanter. Some call me Tim.
And DM Heretic strikes again. He's trying to step up to Kojo. He just has a long way to go. All right, Corey.
You really want me to do this after all he has to do is listen to episode 66?
I think you did.
Yeah. Tim, thanks for the email. As a matter of fact, recently I had one of these. We had a friend of mine, longtime friend of mine, to the point of being in one of my first D&D games as a DM, and he's been a long 20-plus year friend of mine who decided his job was moving him to work on Sunday, so he couldn't make it to our D&D game. He was playing a Dwarven Cleric. They happened to be in a kingdom that they had no knowledge of the rules and what have you. So in the middle of the night, as they're in an enemy encampment, the enemy's thinking that they are literally like, I guess, the SS version of that kingdom's military. They were wearing certain cloaks that allowed them essentially free pass, and all the troops would avert their eyes looking directly at them while they're wearing the cloaks. In the middle of the night, the cleric left the campsite and asked the DM, me, what's the weather like? I said, well, it's been raining on and off, but right now there's a nice thunderstorm over top. Biggest mistake I ever made. The player, who will remain nameless, Kevin,
that's the second time.
Yeah, decided since this was his last campaign session with us for a while, he was going out with a bang, or should I say a zot. He had 3 third-level cleric spells left, so he went ahead and cast Call Lightning. 30 lightning bolt strikes of 7d8 each. Later, The entire tented encampment was a smoking crater, and I rolled every single save. And if a guy passed his save, he got hit with another lightning bolt, which I failed. He literally decimated an entire platoon of troops with 3 call lightning spells. Needless to say, the ongoing joke at that point was, we broke Corey's game. We broke Corey's game. So, yeah, I had perfect plans for this, and they ruined my campaign that evening. And now he comes over jokingly and goes, so what's the weather like? I'm like, clear. There is not a storm in the sky. The entire world is in a drought. There has not been rain for 7 months.
Wow.
Yeah. But, yeah, that yes, I've had some of it. As far as a player at your table and handling how to fix a broken player, if it's not your good friend for 20 plus years who should know better and he's just being a jerk because he wants to troll your game before he leaves, if it's literally a player who's like, I'm going to do this for the chaos of it, there's no reason why that Dwarven Battle Rager couldn't have accidentally been stabbed in the eye and got a critical and killed him. Dude, I'm sorry, go ahead and roll another character. Oh, you want to make another Dwarven Battle Rager? Oh, I'm sorry, there's no dwarves in this region. Go ahead and make a different character.
Yep.
You can do it nicely, or you can say, do me a favor, why don't you walk out to the garage with me? Walk out to the garage, say, listen, douche, you're being a douche. Actually, you're being a douche canoe. Stop it, or I will literally kick you off my table. You can do it that way. Or just do, the classic of rocks fall, everybody dies. Oh, everybody else was inside the building except the Battle Rager who was starting to fight with his city guard. Oh, dude, the wall was so rough and old and ancient, a large chunk of the concrete wall fell off and just smushed your dwarf. Make another character.
Yep.
You just cheated. No, I'm the DM. It's my world. You
Yep.
got a problem with it, you can get up and leave.
Yeah, you can't go up against the DM. The DM has literally unlimited resources.
But
so,
what about you, Full On?
There's been occasions where something has come in, got a little out of hand, and had to be policed up a little bit. Usually, attrition takes care of it. I'm a big fan on consequence. I don't even have to do rocks fall, everybody dies. I will just present the real consequences. If you're out there murdering city guard, you're going to get wanted posters up everywhere, and then the drow is going to be the popular member in the party, and everyone else is going to be hunting for the dwarf to string up by his short hairs and set his chin on fire.
Yep.
There's ways to do it. I mean, it's happened with the Elven Spell Archer. It's happened with the Dwarven Battle Rager. It's happened with the Spell Filcher. It's happened with the and I can go on. All of them have ways of being abused by any particular min-maxer. It's not so much a case that the kit is wrong for the campaign. It's usually a case of the kit was wrong for the player.
Mm-hmm.
And that just means their next turnaround is going to be something else. As long as they're not hey, I'm going to kick open the next door and charge in the next room while everybody else is busy divvying up the treasure. Those usually take care of themselves pretty rapidly, too, and possibly the rest of the party as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and that's the other thing, because sooner or later, if somebody's going to try and Wolverine it, I'm sorry, but usually that kind of tactic usually ends up not only with the Wolverine wannabe getting killed, but then the party's got, they got their, butt deep in alligators, and now they've got to, hack their way out of it, all because one player just wants to, he wants the spotlight. In my case, I haven't run into too many. I've seen a couple in my gaming group, and it's, it just makes me just want to shake my head for the most part, because, it's the whole thing is that we, and I'm not going to, by saying this, it's probably going to not be well received, but screw it. Unfortunately, there are too many people who play this game who want to win at it and will do whatever they have to do to ensure their victory. And the thing is that if any DM has anything, if the DM has anything on the ball, of course, rocks fall, everybody dies. All of a sudden, that particular character starts taking more damage in combat than than his compatriots. Criticals somehow, some way start happening a little more often to this character. Or like Corey said, you just take the player
I've had parties take out offending players like that.
Yeah, sometimes it gets to that point.
We went off hunting. The paladin had to stay back. He did not want to see what was going to happen when we went off hunting and came back short somebody.
Oh, he King Barathoned it?
Yeah.
Went hunting and got killed. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
those happen. And again, sometimes it's not even that. It doesn't even have to be a dick player. It could simply be a case of the campaign was broken because you spent all this time doing 27 levels of super detailed, deep dungeon, under mountain, goodness, wonderful, complex maze work, back history, NPCs. We're going overland through the trees.
Yep. And
great! Fling it over your shoulder, wing it, go!
Yeah, and
hey, we're going, all the dungeon is set to the left. They go through the left-hand door. They go through the right-hand door. Hey, the right-hand door is now the left-hand door. Just flip the module and go with it. You can be flexible. Yeah. You don't have to let them break it. You don't have to you can railroad them a little. It is a game that requires, here's a beginning, there's an end, we're getting to the end. Many branches will get you there.
Yeah,
so it's a nexus, not a single rail.
Yep.
Yeah, and also, in addition, what I did with that party after he smoked the entire encampment, there was 2 tents standing. One of the tents had the rest of the party in that were sleeping. Well, they were awake after the 30-some lightning bolts that struck the encampment. But the other tent that was still standing was the mage's tent, who had a very crafty anti-magic shell up. He was literally lying on the floor in his tent with a wand of hold person and a wand of charm person in each hand, shaking as he's pointing at the tent flaps, waiting for someone to come into the tent. They had an altercation. They thought the monk ran in, knocked him unconscious, stole his wands to bring back to the party, and they went, okay, who's left? And he's like, well, there's a mage in the tent over there. Well, I rolled to see the length of unconsciousness, and it was only 1 round. So they went back, and they found a nice slit cut in the back of the tent, and the tent was empty. So now it was a race to get to the next town that they were headed before the mage got there to say, we just got our butts kicked by a whole bunch of magic casters, so that's how I got around it. So they're like, ha ha ha, oh man, we gotta hurry up and go to town.
Yeah, and then and that's the other part that, your guy, and quite honestly, I would be really reticent to invite him back because I'm like, why did you have to do that? But I know you've been friends with him for like 20 years, so yeah, he gets a pass. But
sometimes it's self-inflicted too. Like the DM gave our party. Actually, I was the DM. I gave the party a bottle of the Ifrit. They used it.
Yeah.
They didn't pay attention to the fact that it's an Ifrit giving you wishes.
Yep.
The party was just over the ridge, peeking over, looking at the encampment of 10,000 Great Orcs, doing their Great Orc thing, getting ready for some massive invasion, and they thought, oh, we need to get ready for this fight. I'm going to use the bottle of the Ifrit. Rub, rub, rub. Hey, Ifrit, you're awesome. I want the evil robe of the Archmagi.
What?
And the Ifrit said, you sure, boss? Evil robe of the Archmagi, I wish now. Okay. He goes away. He comes back at a dead sprint, throws a robe, and dives into his bottle.
And then the archmage that owned that robe shows up.
Yes, Mordenkainen shows up.
Ooh, he stole it from Wow. Huh? I said that's daring. He stole it from Mordenkainen himself. Wow.
Hey! I'm just a facilitator. I don't actually have the power to poof one out of nothing. Those are awesome items.
It would have been funnier if the mage would have been like in the middle of pooping and he had his robes hiked up around his waist and like he just teleported him there. So like the player has his hand out and he's like holding up the robes for the Archmagi while he's pooping. He looks over his shoulder and goes, what are you doing? Nothing. You can have that robe back.
Unattended object rules. It's easier that way.
Yeah, that's true. But, but as far as, people, kits and stuff breaking the game, let's put it this way. Everybody, ever since the Complete Elves book came out, and I know I've harped on this before, but I'm
Blade Singer!
Blade Singer!
Blade Singer, exactly. Everybody's like, that thing's too overpowered. No, it's not. If your DM reads the kit, he's handcuffed almost as badly as a paladin is. And that is one thing you can constantly tug on that leash and make the player go over here instead of going over there, saying, no, that's not good for Elvenkind. You do this instead. But no. No kit, no magic item, or, no magic item is more powerful than what the DM has at his disposal within the context of the campaign. And that's something that they need to always understand, and the DM has to have the balls to, number one, provide consequences for such, behavior, and, your Battle Ranger being a homicidal maniac, and, well, we all know Battle Rangers are like that, but, but they're not.
There are dumb ones, and then there are amusing ones. Hang out with the amusing ones.
Anyone?
Thibbledorf Point.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's fun.
Ever.
Yeah, God of Battle Rangers. Yeah, I'd make him a minor deity in my campaign for sure. But, it's all about what the player's trying to do, and if the player is trying to, quote unquote, game the system, or trying to completely just be, Barney badass for whatever reason, the DM can say, no, this is the Old West. There is something always better than you, faster than you, stronger than you, has more magic than you, and they won't hesitate to knock your ass down and keep you there.
And if it's not a kit class player issue, and it's more a case of player party buy-in to the adventure, okay, there's a mutual agreement understanding, big neon DM sign held over your head.
Yep.
The adventure is this way.
Mm-hmm.
We're here to do the adventure, not hang out all week buying quilts in the market.
Oh, yeah, debating, haggling over price.
Or, hey, we're going on this wonderful inland island adventure. I'm going into the plains.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is why I have Planescape sitting on my shelf gathering dust. I'll take you to the plains. Oh, we're going to Karatur. Hey, I've got that. We're going to Karatur. Hey, I'm going to Mystara. Hey, I'm going to Ravenloft. I want to find the mist and go in. Really? Okay, we'll let that happen. There's a buy-in that needs to be shared, but if they adamantly refuse to share the adventure with the DM, which should be shared, not just all the players, it's a presentation and a partnership.
Yeah.
If they want to do their thing and say, we're taking our adventure our way, give it to them. Enjoy that. You'll get back to your thing later. Or let them know, hey, not only are you ruining it for the other players who are here to play the Secret of the Mist, Eye Tyrant, Night Below, whatever, but you're ruining it for me because I'm here to set this up, and you guys want to go play in the friggin' Dwarves Deep.
That's when you punch him in the jeans.
Very nice recovery, Corey. But yeah, I mean, it's a social contract. That's what it is. It's like, I set up the adventure, unless it's a complete and total sandbox, and even then, the player, we touched on it several episodes ago, Corey. If the player has an idea of something he wants to do, and he has this wonderful idea, yeah, sure, we can go for that. But first, we're not going to always do, we're not going to do what you want. There are 5 other people sitting around this table who want to go to the Caves of Chaos. And you want to go and try and assassinate the head of the Merchants Guild because you think one of his children was rude to you. Well, that's something you can handle in your own time. You are part of a team. You are part of an adventuring group. Don't just automatically think that because you have,
Evil Robe of the Archmagi.
Yeah, an Evil Robe of the Archmagi, that all of a sudden, hey, this is awesome because, well, guess what? Now that 24th level Archmage that your Efreet stole it from is going to come and reclaim it, and, you're probably going to get your party killed because you decided to use a wish from an Efreet, which is a very bad idea.
Sounds good. Thank you, Tim, for the email.
Yep, thank you, Tim. And
I'm out of ice, and my drink's a little warm, so are we done?
Yeah, I think we're done for this time. We still have emails to answer, and we'll be putting them into future episodes of THACO's Hammer. And
that's right. Our lips are dry, our throats are chapped, and we've reciprocated enough in episodes. Gamer Nation!
Oh my god.
I can't believe Glenn missed this one. Folks out there, Glenn will be back next time when we do our show. He had some dragons to kill and some flumps to go farm, but He'll be back.
Yeah. So for now, say goodnight, Corey, please.
Good night, folks. Have a good evening.
Yes, on a wonderful note. And Falon?
We will see you later, Gamer Nation. Send us some more. We're here ready for you.
Mm-hmm. We're always ready to reciprocate. And I am DM Brian, standing in for the wonderful DM Glen, and we want to thank you for listening to this episode of THACO's Hammer. Until next time, bye-bye.
THACO's Hammer theme is provided by the Diablo Swing Orchestra. You'll find them on Jamendo.com. All other additional music for this episode was provided by Kevin MacLeod. You'll find more of his music on Incompetech.com. Be sure to visit our website at thacoshammer.info. If you have any questions or comments, email us at thacoshammer@gmail.com. Remember, that's an O, not a 0. You can also find us on the 2nd edition forums at osrgaming.org and at purpleworm.org. Or give us a call and leave us a voicemail at 405-806-0555. See you next time when the hammer comes down on THACO's Hammer.